my mind, man, it's like the interesting thing is like people go out and they say we need capital and we need equipment and we need these things, and I think they forget about the intangibles, like you were saying, the history, the authenticity, the just genuine sense of caring, which are the freest assets in any business, and they're so lucrative, man. Like if you forget caring, it's like you don't have to pick it up and put it in your pocket or do any of that stuff. Like you legitimately, man, it just comes with you. So to not apply it, like you said, dude, and just own what you are and say, I want to do cool things for cool people and create these cool memories. I mean, that's why I have it tattooed above my eye. I swear, man, because it's just like, that stuff costs nothing. And I don't know why people just walk right by it.
You crazy mother.
Hi, welcome to the Delaireous podcast, where your host, Sean Delaire, has ordinary conversations with extraordinary people. In this show, we take a deep look into the minds of those that are influencing culture, building community, and driving the world moving forward. Join the conversation as we learn from entrepreneurs, social influencers, artists, and cultural icons and how their visions change the world. Here's your host, Sean Delaire.
Hey everyone, Sean Delaire here, the host of the Delaireous podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been a while. We took a big hiatus. We're going to talk about that in this episode. But really quick, I just want to talk about who is sponsoring this episode. And this episode is sponsored by the Laurence King Publishing Group in London. And they sent me this really cool book called How to Build a Motorcycle, a Nut and Bolt Guide to Customizing Your Bike. All they wanted from me was my honest review. So before we jump into the episode, and we talked to Anthony Conforti from the Poorstar streetwear brand, and we learned all about his journey with the brand, his beliefs in business. We're going to talk really quick about this book. I love this book, and I think that if you are building a motorcycle, you should get it too. So let's hear about the book really quick, and then we'll jump right into the episode. What's up, guys? How you doing? Sean Delaire here, your host of the Delaireous podcast. And I just wanted to talk about really quick about this super cool book that I got sent to me by the Laurence King Publishing Group over in London. And for those of you that know me personally, which many of you guys listening to this, you don't, I am learning how to build a custom motorcycle. You can't see it, but in my living room, I have a 1979 Yamaha SR500. I got it from a buddy in boxes. It was just kind of sitting in his garage, and it is basically my learn how to build a bike. And for anybody that's worked on cars or built a bike before, going through those technical manuals is kind of a pain in the ass. And so I'm super stoked about this bike, or this, this book that written by Gary Inman. And I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'd love to do a review of your book. And so they sent me a copy all the way from London. And right off the bat, when I opened this, the quality, like I expected, like kind of like a magazine that you just throw around the shop, but this thing, it's very nicely put together. The artwork is amazing. I think the artwork is some of my favorite parts of the book, but it's called How to Build a Motorcycle, a Nut and Bolt Guide to Customizing Your Bike. Check this out. Just check out the artwork on that if you're watching the video. If not, I'll do my best to describe it for you guys. It's just, it really captures those old school, like vintage vibes of the, just from the diagrams, which, by the way, diagrams are what sets this off for me. I mean, I love the colors, just the off-white with the teal and the gold, and all the ink is like this kind of blue. So it just has this really cool aesthetic to it. And it just feels really good in your hand. I'm actually kind of I don't want to get this dirty because I feel bad. It's such a nice book, but I mean, that's kind of the point. Like you read it and you work on your bike. But the coolest thing is right off the bat, if you've built a custom bike, you probably know, like the first step is figuring out what you want to do and what you're going for. And they do a really good job. So check this out. I'm going to show everybody who's watching the video of just breaking down the different kinds of bikes. As you can see there, like they go from bobber, cafe racer, chopper, race replica, street scrambler, street tracker, street fighter, and then they go all the way into the subspecies of bagger, brat, fat tire, low rider. they do a really good job of just laying it out and dumbing it down for those of us that, like myself, technical drawings and technical manuals, they're really difficult. they kind of suck. I mean, they're good for what they are, but if you're a visual learner like myself, those crappy pictures that they put in there, I spend more time trying to decipher what the damn book is saying than actually doing it. And I think that anybody that is looking at building a custom motorcycle, like, you absolutely got to get this book. It comes out actually today, the day that this episode is airing, which is, let me just double check, but it's Monday the 12th. That's when the book comes out. It's for sale. The price for US is $24.99 according to the back of the book. I don't know how much they're going to sell it for, but that's the price on here. And it literally takes you through step by step from how to assemble your wires, just the different types of engines, handlebars, like everything you need to get an idea of what you're building, how you want it to look, what you need to do. Now, granted, this isn't going to be motorcycle specific. So if you need something specific to, like, say, for example, my SR500, if I need a specific kind of information, this book isn't going to have it. So still get your repair manual and everything like that. So it has all the specific diagrams, what to torque your bolts to, the spacing on things, and like taking apart your engine. But besides that, like, I absolutely love this book. Like, I was totally blown away by the quality. Like, even the pages, the cardstock that they use, it's not like regular paper. Like, they used a really nice kind of cardstock for each page. So this thing is quality. They didn't pay me for this, by the way. They sent me the book. They asked for my honest review. I told them I'd give it to them. And honestly, I can't recommend this enough. Check it out. How to Build a Motorcycle, a Nut and Bolt Guide to Customizing Your Bike by Gary Inman. It's just awesome. So go check it out. Get yourself a copy. If you're just starting out, or if you've been customizing bikes for years and you just want something cool or just a resource, highly recommend it. Go get your hands on it. It's out now.
Please join Internet Audio. Hold on 1 second.
All right, I hear you.
All right, dude, I like it. Dude, this is a cool app.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. I like that it's free, as long as you like, the free one has certain, you can't go for like 2 hours or have a bunch of people in it.
Yeah, no worries. I just like the streamline, like, fluidity of it. It's nice, man. Like, log in, do the rig, be able to do the video. Big fan.
Yeah, plus it's super easy. You just click a record button. So it's recording right now. It's recording video and audio. Perfect. And it renders it separately. So nice. You get 2 files. So it makes content creation super easy.
Dude, I like how you're just like using what's available to you, and it looks killer.
Oh, thanks, man. Like, I'm just in my apartment right now. So I got this divider. So because my girl, she's a teacher. Okay. So she's working remotely, so she needs to come out and you won't see her and everything.
Right. No. That's what's up, man. I like how you like try to make the atmosphere. I'm actually in my studio now, which I'm fortunate enough to even have, that I built a year ago and haven't done a damn thing with because I've been so busy.
Nice. I dig the couch though. That's it looks like it straight up. It looks like what you'd see in like a tattoo parlor, which I know you're big on.
Yeah, man. That's like definitely one of like the art directions, for the brand and stuff like that. We're pretty culturally diverse, and it's like, I wanted to make sure that when we did something physical, because we do so many mobile things, that I was like, and after we build the community and everything like that, we bring in the wigs that kind of like, I don't know, influence that community. At least we have a good space to put them in.
For sure. So before we get started, just really quick, I got some like intro stuff. The Delaireous podcast is brought to you by Left, Right, Straight. Are you a veteran and feel lost, like you don't have a purpose anymore? In the military, we are part of something greater. We are surrounded by our brothers and sisters working to accomplish the mission. And then we got out, and that sense of belonging just isn't there. And that's why Left, Right, Straight exists, to provide veterans, first responders, and their families with a healthy, outdoors-focused community to not only get back that sense of belonging, but to develop positive coping mechanisms utilizing adventure therapy techniques. Now, we aren't for everyone. We don't claim to be.
But if you love the outdoors and you want to go hiking, backpacking, camping, or snowboarding with other veterans, then we might be the right place for you. Check us out online if you wish to learn more about our mission, donate to help veterans go on expeditions, or you want us to guide your private or corporate team building expeditions. To learn more, visit us online at www.leftrightstraight.org.
So first off, man, thanks for coming on the show. I know this was super last minute too. We've been talking about doing this for months, and it just so happened that like right as we started chatting about it, ended up taking like a 4-month hiatus from the show. Just kind of there was a lot going on in Seattle that I was like, people need to focus on this a little bit more. Plus, I was just in the midst of starting a new brand, so it just took all of this time away, and I was like, I don't really have the brain space to put into the podcast, and taking that break really helped. But so I'm glad you came on the show. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm stoked to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise, dude. I mean, trust me, if anybody understands, it's me. I was just saying, I was sitting in the studio I built a year ago and didn't do anything, but so don't feel bad.
I got you, man. We have a building for the nonprofit I run that it's just sitting there right now. Like we did all the demo work, and then funding's a thing, and funding's hard to get, especially right now. So it's just kind of sitting there. And so I get it. I also have a building that I'm not doing anything with.
Yeah, dude. And it's crazy because like I think a lot of people are like, oh man, that must be nice to like have a studio. And it's like, no, actually it's like terrible because I put money out that like really I didn't have, and we're independent. Like I don't have any bank loans or anything like that. So it takes me a long time to do things, but at least we own it. And I think that's a huge variable in the equation of business where so many people just get head over heels like, oh, we have the loan, we'll create the collection, and then like we'll sell it. And I'm like, man, this whole thing's built on credit. So like the moment the payments stop getting made, like I don't know, creativity, morale, like all that stuff just starts to kind of like tear off.
Yeah, money has a way of really impacting how you're thinking. Like if you're behind on bills. But on the flip side though, I've never been more hungry than when I was broke. Like literally I was starving, so I was hungry, but like it really drives you to get things done. So it's a good and a bad thing. So tell me, man, so like where you from? What's your background? How you got started? Where you grew up? Like who is Anthony Conforti?
Man, that's like a huge question, because I don't really think I'm anybody, if that makes any sense.
I feel the same way. I'm just a guy with a microphone that does stuff.
And not even like playing the Mr. Modest card, man, but it was crazy to me. I got kind of thrown into it because I'm like quintessential, like on paper. If you like look at the social security number, like terrible credit, like, like divorced parents, like the whole nine, you know what I mean? And I don't say that sympathetically, dude. I say it progressively because it's really made me, like you were saying, the hungry person. And ultimately, like, I don't know, the resourceful and creative values got instilled in me to be like, okay, like you were saying, how can we use this software to make the most of it with this budget? Or how can we, go ahead and do this to make it look like that? And it's crazy because you see a lot of people that have the capital and then, I don't know, kind of lack the idea. But to go back to the original question, man, I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm 33 now, moved down to Florida when we were about 2. My mom, hooked up this guy who's been like stepdad to me forever. And just old Harley riding, round tattoos and muscle cars and just in the park, riding little pawn shop dirt bikes and shit, and just trying to stay out of trouble, man.
And causing it at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And nothing too crazy, man. I mean, I got like 1 or 2 mug shots, but it's for like the dumbest shit, graffiti and stuff like that.
That's how it is, man. That's how it is.
And that's it, man. And then through action sports and things like that, man, because it was just all that was really available to us. When you grow up a bit underprivileged, to be polite, the BMX bike, the skateboard, things that are $100 or less are really like your only kind of go-to. You know? And
you can usually trade your way into them.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when you're young and you're dumb, dude, and everybody's like, oh, like you said, you kind of barter and et cetera. And the flip side of that coin is they're all very individual sports and outlets. So, sometimes you find yourself skating by yourself or riding by yourself or drawing or spray painting by yourself. And, man, it can be a good thing, but it can be bad because you get inside your own head.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. Like, so like with my nonprofit, it was founded around
Right.
just hopping on my longboard and just
Yeah.
going skating. And some of the best times I've ever had was just we just pick a direction, left, right, or straight. That's the name of the
Yep.
nonprofit. But and we just go have adventures. And it was like most of the time it was because one of us were going through some shit and we were
Right.
angry and we just put that anger to our feet and just pushed and ended up
Yeah.
in some wild area.
Yep.
But it's like
That's how it happens, man. It's always like
super therapeutic.
yeah, yeah. It's always some kind of escapade, as my buddy Tim always says, man. And it's like it organically happens. And I think
Mhm.
when that's who you are and what you are, it all of a sudden it's just instilled in you, and like you said, you have that hunger to just kind of continue to chase it because it's not like something you even really set out to do. It just kind of happened to you, man. A lot
Yeah,
of
it
people.
just became a part of your life.
Yeah, people are like, "How'd you get into that?" And I'm like, dude, I just hung out. I mean, we were just kind of white trash, dude, and we were just, doing white trash things. you know,
That's fair.
And, you become a product of your environment, man. Whether it's this much or this much, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, I think what you do with it really dictates whether you're going to succeed or have some kind of downfall. Like I don't know. I know people that come from really nice places that don't do much, and I know some people that don't have much and do really nice things.
Exactly. And it's like I think that
Respect.
anyone that's kind of trying to do better for themselves, mad respect, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's when like you have everything, but like you have all the skills, the tools, the knowledge,
Right.
and you don't do anything with it. Like to me, like everybody, you growing up, everybody knew that in their class, like that kid's a loser. And it wasn't because he was a loser, it was just like he was different. And to me, that's
Mhm.
not okay. But the
Likewise.
people that don't do anything with their lives and just happy to just be where they're at, to me, that's a loser. And I don't want
Yeah.
that in my life. Like, I don't care how poor you are, where you're at. If you're grinding to make your life better, you're already winning.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, I would hang out with you. you know,
Same,
you
man.
you know what I mean? Like, we were somewhere last night, man. I got an old chopper and we were riding it, and it was funny, man. There's like, you're outside of a dive bar, and people eavesdrop on your conversation when you're talking about different things that
Yeah.
whether progressive or counterproductive is neither here nor there. And it's funny because I've never judged the book by its cover. The guy behind me last night, he was like in a wheelchair and he's drunk and he's like talking to me about something. And I don't know what it was. I just turned around and I was just like, "Hey man, what's your name? Like, what do you do?" And he ends
Mhm.
up working for the software company. We end up talking about analytics and data entry and gathering that information to know where to focus your efforts when you're launching a product or you're building an identity around it for a community to make it tangible. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that stuff is not what they teach you in the college degree.
No.
What I mean? Like, I don't think people are prepared for that situation because they're so stuck on the 5 o'clock, the tie, the leather chairs, the long table and the speakerphone. And it's like, I respect that because that's the atmosphere of business. But in the
Mhm.
same sense, man, it's like when you take karate, it's like it's real easy to learn how to defend yourself when you're in a controlled setting. But when you're curbside, it's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Your adrenaline's running, you forget simple stuff. And
Exactly.
that's why it's all muscle memory. But man, what I'm seeing, at least because I'm in college at right now, I'm working in a
Yeah.
bachelor's program, and
Let's
it's
kill it.
focused on organizational leadership and technical
Right.
management. And the one thing that I'm seeing is like when people think business, at least for me, they have that mindset like the 80s where it's just people in the boardroom and their ties telling people what to do.
Yeah.
And the focus now is like it's not, it still is that to an extent, but like it's more like us. It's more like
Yeah.
people that like genuinely care about their community, about
I
their
was just
people. Yeah, the dynamic is switched, and
yep.
leadership isn't we need to hit these numbers, go do this or you're fired.
Mhm.
It's more of, hey, I see you're struggling with this, how can I help you?
Absolutely.
Which I
I've
think is
always,
super cool.
yeah, no, I can totally agree with that, man. Where I've always prided myself, like in the point where I was like, you know what, man, if we actually had employees, because we are an independent brand and we work in smaller quantities, and that reflects
Mhm.
our MSRP. And sometimes it kind of bothers me, but I always thought to myself, I was like, it'd be crazy, man. Like if we had, the entire warehouse with the screen printing equipment, which is a whole nother business, and that's why we've never really gotten into it.
Yeah.
Then I also like to kind of reinvest like this. I think about sustainability, and I'm not even big enough in the brand to do that yet. But on a local level, like I appreciate Jeff, our screen printer. Like I appreciate our, our headwear sources and our eyewear sources and things like that. And we try to give them the little money and profit that we do make to, continue to produce. And, you'd be surprised, man, like that extra $100, that extra, couple of $1,000, whatever, which is not big money. Like silently, it's probably the difference between those guys, doing something they couldn't have did without that account, So
Yeah.
I discriminate it, like you said, whether it's, this big or this big. I've just always tried to treat it equally. And I think kind of having that equality mindset, dude, really, I don't know, purifies the business, if that makes any sense. Like I would go into a warehouse if we had it, like I was saying, and I would wipe shirts down with that guy and sweat with the rag over my shirt. And then like 2 weeks later, one of the employees would be like, "Who's the dude with the face tattoos and like the old Harley?" They'd be like, "Oh, it's the fucking dude that owns the place."
Yeah, and that's key, man. It's like just from a team building perspective, if they see you out there doing it with them, it's like that's huge. It shows that
I'll dig the hole.
Yeah, like you're not above them.
Yeah,
It's like we're all in this together. We're all working. If you guys need help, I'm here to help you. And I agree with what you're saying, man, about like reinvesting in community and keeping it local. Like,
yeah,
I pretty much exclusively work with all the stuff I do. I work with one design firm because I know one, they do great stuff.
right.
And like one of the owners, he told me one day when we were just having a beer, he's like, I just want to do cool shit. I don't want to make stuff that sucks. I just want to do cool shit.
Yeah.
And like they're connected with the community. They give back. Above all, they give you a good price. They give you quality. And as long as they're good people, why wouldn't I reinvest in their company and continue that relationship?
Exactly. And in my mind, man, it's like the interesting thing is like people go out and they say, we need capital and we need equipment and we need these things. And I think they forget about the intangibles, like you were saying, the history, the authenticity, the just genuine sense of caring, which are the freest assets in any business. And they're so lucrative, man. Like if you forget caring, it's like you don't have to pick it up and put it in your pocket or do any of that stuff. Like you legitimately, man, it just comes with you. So to not apply it, like you said, dude, and just own what you are and say, I want to do cool things for cool people and create these cool memories. I mean, that's why I have it tattooed above my eye. I swear, man, because it's just like, that stuff costs nothing. And I don't know why people just walk right by it in the business, shelf where, they're picking out these things that they think they need when, they have a lot of the core values that it takes to succeed. And one of those things I really pride myself on is just caring, man. Like just give a shit.
No, I agree.
It's wild to me how many people don't do that. And I'm like, it costs you nothing, dude. Like there's no payment to care. There's no loan to care. Like you don't run caring.
And the ROI is huge. Like I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn post yesterday.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, it was about like, cause dude, my LinkedIn, half the time it's those like canned sales pitches that you can tell. Like they send you a message and like, hey, I'm super stoked to connect, buy my shit. And I'm just like, are you serious, man? Like I'm on LinkedIn to build connections and to help people where I'm able. I'm not on LinkedIn to sell shit. Like I'll put stuff out there to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you like my hot sauce or you like this or that, check it out. Otherwise, like, I don't care. I'm here to build connections and work together with people. And I get so irritated when the first thing out of someone's mouth is, hey, buy my shit.
Dude, it's so refreshing to hear you say that. And I think when we were talking previous to this, it's cool, man, that like you get to know each other and crack jokes and then kind of see what each other do, you know what I mean, et cetera, and check out the fit. But like back to that point of interest, like you were saying, man, like the automation station is just terrible. And like the follow is so hollow in 2020 to me. Like I'm super excited when somebody only has like 20 connections on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? No, because either A, I'll be able to immediately know if it's hollow, or B, be like, oh, this is a person of substance and authenticity, like I was saying, and has those intangible qualities, and literally I'm like, okay, this is real, it has substance. Because some people, dude, I know, man, my buddy Ryan deals with it. He has a motorcycle like curation page through Instagram, not even to use large words, but like so many people DM him because they think, because he's got 50K on Instagram, that like they're going to get a bike build out of it, or they're like, and it's like, dude, I respect it, man. Like take your shot. I'm not hating on any of that. I've been on that page, dude. I've gotten followers from that, and we've built relationships through it, and I appreciate it. But the difference, I think, is I know what it is, and I'm not pretending it's something I want it to be. So I think being able to
also what I think is key in there is you built relationships because of it, not just hey, I see you have a lot of attention, I want to capitalize on what you've built.
Yeah.
So
like
that's what it shouldn't be about.
I mean, they're like, yo, I have this and I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like you just don't want to do it and you just want me to do it for you. And I can't get involved because like, I feel like you're very capable. And I rather, if my only contribution is pissing you off by saying no and making you recognize that you're able, then I'm sleep at night. You know what I mean?
Dude, I had somebody message me on LinkedIn just the other day and was like, hey, I love your profile. I think what you're doing is great. I work for this guy and I think he'd be a good host on your podcast. Click this link to check him out. You click the link and it's a PDF of literally, this is who he is. This is what he does. This is the questions you're allowed to ask him and the topics you're allowed to bring up. And I messaged him back. I was like, I'm not interested in doing an interview with somebody that's going to tell me what I can say. Like straight up, fuck you. Like, dude, I don't even know who you are. First off, like, I get that you're apparently big in Thailand or whatever, but like, it's supposed to be about like conversation and impacting people. Not like, I'm not going to ask you about what you're going to brag about. Like, I don't care.
No, like, you know, and not only that, to art direct somebody in their own space, I think is rude. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it's a bit narrow-minded and naive because, like we were talking through DM, like not only am I excited to change the information, but I'm really excited to, like, you know, receive some as well. You know, so it's nice when it's a two-lane
give or take, give and take.
What that person seems like they're trying to do is ultimately, like I was saying, man, just get these bulletin points on their resume that they're just putting in an automated PDF. And they're sending to people because they think that that's the way to go about it. And again, like you were saying, man, the dynamic has changed in business, man, where it is, you know, more of a chameleon and people are adapting and adjusting and they're getting in where they fit in. And in the world of instant gratification, it's, you know, man, you have to seriously consider building those relationships in a familiar way in that setting. Like you have to be able to just get on the ground. Like, you know, you have a military background, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, like regardless, dude, if you're working on a you know, a diesel deuce and a quarter or your front line or whatever you're doing, the moment you hit the ground, it's different every time.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to, like you said, dude, control the adrenaline, control, you know, the mindset and at least focus a majority of it in said direction, put that stake in the ground and work that way. Otherwise you're just what are you doing?
Yeah, you gotta, and that's one of the things, like working with veterans, first off, like in the Marine Corps, one of the biggest things that we would always say is adapt and overcome. So whatever the situation is, like you got to get to this goal,
right?
Some shit could happen, you start going this way, you got to figure it out and get back there, no matter what.
Back
and
on the line.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things with veterans is like we're so goal and mission oriented that like we have that point that we have to get to. And one of the difficult things is like in the civilian world and transitioning, like you don't necessarily have set goals and missions. So it becomes like a different way of thinking it's hard. But having that and being able to do that and just be like, okay, I know what we're trying to do. Shit's going to get messed up on the way, but this is where we're going. No, it's never. And it's never easy.
It's never sometimes you pass A and you come back and you're like, what do we do?
You get sidetracked and you're like, oh, this is some cool shit. Let's do that instead. And then you're like, wait a second, we totally missed the mark. We got to go back and hit the drawing board.
No, man, I have a huge respect for that. Two, thank you for the service. You know what I mean?
You know, I didn't do much, man. I appreciate it. And I know like, thank you for that. But like, honestly, I just did what I was told. I showed up to work and on weekends I got drunk.
Hey, man, I respect that. But at the end of the day, I think owning that, and that's a large part of my brand. When I went to venue trade show in Los Angeles, I ran into a guy named Miles who put that together for our brand. And at the time, physical retail was dying. And I know this sounds like I'm deviating, but it's relevant. And I'll tell you, you know, we had to make that adjustment to get into e-commerce, really hurt the pocket of our business. That said, fortunate enough to see it coming because of building those relationships and not just trying to be there and be like, here's our booth and we're the best and blah, blah, blah. Simply owning what we were and still are, like you were saying, like, hey, I didn't do anything amazing, but I did my part, I think is huge and speaks more volumes than the actual credential itself. Like if it had a title, you know what I mean? And it's refreshing, because when I was there, Miles told me, he's like, your brand will either A, get adopted by culture, or at least survive, because you're completely okay with who you are. And a lot of people want to be the cool guy. Yeah. A lot of people want to say, I did this, 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 and this, and this, and this. And then you're like, okay, either you did or you didn't. I don't know, but it just doesn't sound. I feel like if you really did those things, probably A, you wouldn't want to talk about them. B, you would accept, I mean? Like, I'm not saying don't celebrate success, but in the same sense, man, like, you recognize that you did your job, and that's sometimes all it takes. And we're still able to be here. When we bailed out of physical retail and got out of Simon Malls and things like that, and we were on our way into the Zoomies and Tillies and things of that nature, I was like, oh, let's go this way. And everybody's like, dude, you're crazy. It's not here yet. And I was early, dude. I was like a little too early. You know what I mean? So yeah. I could have stayed in the physical retail space a little bit longer. But, like you were saying, man, owning what we are, I was like, dude, I'm so used to having nothing that, like, it don't matter. So, like, I don't have the employees and the staff and the IT guys to build out laterally and really mine, so to say. Mm-hmm. So I need all the extra time I can get. You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
Like, so,
and I'm kind of the same way, man. Like, and I was actually going to ask how you guys have been operating during the whole Rona time. And one thing that I've noticed, and just listening to other content, talking to people, I have some friends that they own a restaurant, mm-hmm. and they've managed to stay open the entire time. They've adjusted what they were doing, because I don't know how Florida handle. I know you guys, everything's back to normal or whatever.
Yeah. Phase 3, man, everything's back to normal. But I know a lot of the rest of the country's like still like 6 feet apart. Like,
Seattle shut everything down, so it really hurt a lot of things, a lot of industries, and
that's terrible. I don't mean to laugh. I just think it's funny how talking about
it's totally different.
How broken it is, like,
Yeah, man. And there's a lot of things, like, politically, that's a whole different conversation that I just agree with or don't agree with. But and it was super cool, because they leaned out their business, mm-hmm. and they were smart enough to shift it to what worked for them. Right. And I just met with him last month, and he was like, it sucked because I watched my income take a 30,000 dive. Yeah. And he's like, but for the first time, we're in the black since this whole started. He's like, it's only like a nickel, but we're in the black. And now it's like, dude, that's huge. And the sad thing is when everything opens back up, I think we're going to see a lot of, especially restaurants, they're going to try and bounce back, that they didn't figure out how to lean out their business.
Yeah.
And so they're going to try and operate the way that they knew before. And they're going to fail, and they're going to close down. Like we're seeing, like in Bremerton, Washington, there's businesses there, institutions in Bremerton, that they just announced a couple weeks ago, like, we can't do it. We're done. Thanks for the years of patronage, but we can't, we're just finished.
Yeah. Man, it's interesting. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like being able to sit down, or at least kind of like get a stranglehold on your emotions, your finances, your occupational status, your structure as a whole, and adapt, man. We're living in an instant gratification world. A lady that I purchased some property from said pandemic, whatever verbiage you want to build around it, has been great to me, because she was just like, what's interesting is, like, I had half the staff. We were making more money through drive-through or like out the window, like sandwiches and hoagies and beer, whatever the case may be. And we were still able to do our alcohol sales. It's somewhere in Wilkesburg, PA. I've never met the lady. I recently purchased the property from her. She stopped smoking when she was like 61. and for lack of a long story, man, it was interesting, because at that age, with 8 employees, figured it out, so to point the finger and say, oh, well, I couldn't do it because Chase Bank or whatever bank wouldn't work with me, because, it's their fault. It's no one's fault really, but your own, man. And being able to accept that, like you were saying earlier, and we were both conversating about owning who you are and what you are, and figuring it out, man. You know, this is
Exactly. Nobody's going to do the shit for you. Bad shit happens and you have to figure it out.
All the time. You know what I mean? If it's not this political issue, it's going to be maybe a health thing. It's going to be maybe just a general life thing, dude.
Yeah, maybe your printing press breaks and you don't have enough money to buy a new one. Like,
yeah, like, you know, my thing is like being able to remember who you are, and that's a big part of, like you were saying, being able to be in the trench with the guys and being able to hold the shovel or wipe the shirts or whatever you have to do and go there. Physically meet these people so they know you, build a more exclusive with them, you know, in relationships like we were talking about previously. Ultimately be willing to learn, dude. Like, be receptive, you know, because if, like you said, your print house closes or something happens, like, you'd be like, okay, cool. I'm going to try to go on Amazon and I'm going to try to figure this out. I'm going to get like a small 4-color wheel, and I'm going to try to continue, because at the end of the day, if you don't try, you're going to fail anyway. So you might as well try, dude. Because what if you make it? Like, what if it actually works and you learn how to screen print, or you learn how to restructure your business and you get into creative consulting and you can help your barbershop across the street? You know what I mean? Whatever. It's just components and transactions, man. Like, it's not tailored specifically until you get into micro targeting your audience for marketing and things like that, and figuring out your age and industry demographic. But at the end of the day, business is a component and a transaction. You know what I mean? Like, if you simplify that equation, it's a lot easier to deal with, digest. However you retain the information, dude, it's going to be a bit more streamlined. You know, and it's worked for us, man. Like, I literally am never ashamed to say, like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Like, it wasn't always cool, you know. It was just kind of hood, like in the closet of like my condo.
Well, I don't think there's any shame in that. Like, I think that having those roots, honestly, like, not only is more authenticity to what you're doing, but it just kind of shows. Like, I like to use my fuck ups as examples.
Oh, dude.
And like, especially when helping veterans or just talking to people, like I don't get paid for it, but like, I'll do brand consulting where people, especially startups, are like, hey, I've seen you've done these things. I want to talk. How much would that cost? And I'm like, look, man, I'll just talk to you. What advice I can think of. And it's because I want to see people succeed. And honestly, if you want to look at it from a selfish perspective, which I don't, but if you help somebody when they start off, what do you think they're going to do later when they're successful? They're going to be like, hey man, I wouldn't have gotten to this point if it wasn't for you. I don't think that. I honestly think, like, no, you did that shit yourself. I don't want anything in return.
Dude, you know, it's so awesome that you say that, because a lot of people say, like, immediately start defeating themselves. I don't have the money. You know, I can't get into this. Like, I can't take time away from this, blah, 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 et cetera. Like, relevant story to what you're saying. Recently purchasing that land. Need to get it cleared, right? Okay, great. I don't know a damn thing about land. I've never purchased anything in my life. No one in my family owned the fucking thing, like, you know what I mean, et cetera. But when a buddy of mine that I met, I ride some Harleys with, owns an asphalt company, very well off. One of the most structured individuals, dude, I've ever met in my life. Dresses just like us. You'd never even know. Again, humble beginnings. Was a lot porter at the Sanford Airport. Saw a guy pushing what he thought was a lawnmower across the pavement, and it was like striping, like for like parking spaces. Yeah. Builds the relationship. Gentleman passes on, acquires a skill set, applies it. Right. I run into a guy picking my mom up from the barbecue restaurant where she waits tables. I yell out the window, "Hey, you clear land?" Guy says, "Yeah." I said, "For who?" He says, "Me." I said, "Perfect." I open the car door, 11:30 at night, face tattoos and everything. Guy immediately stops. Probably thought I was going to just steal his brand new 6.7 in his Bobcat.
Shit, man.
You know, anyways, I walk up to him and I said, "Listen, I don't have a card, but if you have one, I'd like to take your information. I think it's great that we just, conducted commerce in the parking lot, of this barbecue restaurant." And we get to talking, whatever the case may be. And he goes, "Hey, I just cleared 40 acres and I need some milling for a driveway." In my mind, I was like, damn, I don't even know what milling is, but I know it has something to do with asphalt. And a buddy of mine owns an asphalt company. And he was
all about connections and helping each other, man.
Man, listen, whether he bought 40 feet or 40 tons of milling means nothing. I know, like you said, man, that I could call that guy right there and be like, "Hey, man, it's Anthony from the barbecue restaurant." He'd be like, "Oh, yeah, hey, I bought that milling from your buddy, blah, blah, blah. Did you ever get that land cleared?" I'll be like, "No." He'd be like, "Yo, let me know. I got Saturday open. I'll come down there and just wipe it down. Your boy's like, awesome. Thank you so much for connecting me." Because he was like, "I can't get milling anywhere." So it's like you said, just being genuine and wanting to see other people succeed, I fully believe in that, dude. I really do. I'm like all the way out there with that. Like,
Yeah. Plus, like, why would I spend my money to make like Paris Hilton or whoever else rich when it's like I have a buddy that he has a company that he's doing whatever and it's what I need. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's my boy. So
right,
who gives a
right.
shit if it's more
I mean,
expensive?
not
If
only
I'm
that,
super broke though, if I'm super broke, I will go the cheaper route. But
yeah,
like if I can afford to help somebody out, especially somebody that I know,
right.
I'm of course going to do that. That's why like I have a binder full of business cards of
Yeah,
just people that like, some of I'll go through it every once in a while and I'll throw shit out like that doesn't apply
yeah.
anymore. But and
I mean,
I spent the time to organize it actually to where it's like somebody's like, hey, I need this. I'm like, all right, let me get back to you. And I'll go into this binder and I'll look through and see if I know anybody in my direct network that can help them out.
right. I mean, dude, I get them all the time. They're like just like weeded. They're like totally
Yeah.
just been through the washer, like whatever. But dude, and those are just the ones that like I have on me. And that's like, I'm not trying to indirectly plug anybody, but like you were saying, man, like just simply like people try to be like, oh, I'm not moving unless I get paid. And it's like, okay, dude. So like you connected these dots, like you were saying, between so and so for their business to succeed. I connect these dots in a parking lot at 11:30 at night. Say I said, pay me for that information, or you said the same thing, right? What's
Yeah.
to say whatever they pay you or whatever you set your bar at probably still isn't even enough to afford what you need done anyway. So why not just be genuine about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because like you said, man, that guy's like, oh man, this little kid with face tattoos just put me in touch with this guy that owns an asphalt company. And we get milling there all day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And it builds a relationship. If you start with a transaction, the, for me at least, the transaction after it's done, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever, fuck that guy, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but if you build a relationship, like I have people that I've had on the podcast, they have their own business. Like
Right.
I send people to them if they need it. And now they're just an example because they know I do hot sauce now. They're like, hey, I'm putting together because she runs a marketing thing. They're putting together
That's
this
cool.
a small business Christmas gift guide where they're going to send it out to everybody in their network. Like, hey, if
Yeah.
you need to get your Christmas shopping done, go check out these brands. And
Right.
she's going to put my hot sauce thing on there. And I was like, that's
Perfect.
super huge. I didn't ask for that. I never
No.
once cared if they were going to do that, but they went out of their way and were like, hey, we want to help you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like I'm totally
Dude,
about that. Like I appreciate it. I think it's awesome that you think my stuff's good enough to put out there. So
especially when you're modest and genuine and authentic to your product, and in relevancy to that, man, I put an event together at Stone Edge Skate Park with Harley Davidson and Sprint, and it was really cool to work with those companies. But it was so crazy because everybody that they had once marketed to, who was 25, is now 75. So they're in this they're in this 40-year, 50-year fucking flip, whatever the case
they're
may
trying to
be.
figure it out with the new
Yeah,
generations.
people at 33 get ready to be 34. Like I told Sprint, they're like, oh, we're gonna do a bike wash, and I was like, okay. So like somebody shows up with a 6-pack, slips and falls, and rockets a chopper, through the window of the showroom. Like I don't mean to be devil's advocate because I've literally rode sport bike freestyle inside of venues that we had no business being in, like on April's Fools, because people didn't think we were gonna do it. Yeah, I mean 3-4 street bikes deep, like low budget Evil Knievel shit, pulling people out of the crowd with no insurance. Is like out of hand. I signed the deal because the guy was like, I'll go to jail with you 3 times. And I was like, okay. And I don't think he expected me to say that, but not to get off subject, man. I told them, like you were saying, Sprint says, well, what do you think we should do? I said, ultimately, I think you guys should just set up a booth, and I think you guys should charge phones. And he was like, I was like, your entire footprint is an extension cord and a couple of chargers that I know you have laying around here for free. And
Yeah.
he was like, I was like, my job is to protect your investment. You gave us a lot of money to have a telescopic forklift to set up a more, interactive space, a more gallery style space instead of just like a parking lot thing. And I was like, when you do for someone, they'll be more likely to do for you. And he's looking at me, he's a VP of a lot of Sprint stores here in Florida. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, Sam, if you create a gradient with these people, they'll be more receptive to retain the information you're giving them, even if they don't create commerce with you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay. I was like, A, you'll be helping them first and foremost. B, you'll have the device in your hand, which means that your rep can find an accessory like another charger or a power supply or a screen protector or case or anything like that.
Exactly.
Once they provide these people with something that they need, that's when you go in and say, hey, we offer it for X amount less than the other vendor. That's when, we can upgrade your phone, et cetera, et cetera. Bring them to the store, create that exclusive experience with them. Like all the prizes that everybody won at that store, we did an in showroom POP where you had to go in there and we had it safety wired all to a nice burnt palette. It's very like relevant to the age and industry demographic that we're working with to be able to visually identify with it. But structurally, we set it up with safety wire that you had to cut off with a pair of pliers, because I do that. Once the rep hands you the pliers, you have to set your device down. The other rep picks it up. They go, oh, hey, how long have you had this? So now your revolving door just spun again. And we did such a good job at protecting their investment. It's like you said, dude, it's like, because they're like, anything you need, just let us know. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
that's all it took, dude. It wasn't
it's
like
that relationship. It's that relationship.
Yeah. It was, I don't have an MBA, dude, or whatever those abbreviations are. Like, yeah.
No, I get that. And that's the thing. It's like having an MBA is nice and it opens a lot of doors and you learn a lot of shit. I'm not hating on that. No. But when you genuinely are like, how can I help you? And not think of just, okay, what's my ROI? What do I get out of helping you? Yeah. Like, if I piss off, you get to hang out with me and have a fucking beer later. And then if we decide to do business, cool.
Right. And to me, like, how much more authentic is that? Like I was telling people at Sprint, I said, you could put 20 reps in your 10 by 10. And in your mind, I know your business model probably says paragraph 1, section 2, for every 10 no's, you're going to get a yes, which to me is probably like the most rounded off verbiage of, I'm going to piss 100 people off. They're never going to buy Sprint again. But that 101 person who already has Sprint and has been a customer and doesn't want to upgrade and really is just on their way out, could care less.
Well, I used to have Sprint, and having Sprint is like being in a abusive relationship, to be honest. I had them for a long time, and finally I just was like, I'm done. But like you were saying, if they had a charging station, I'm never gonna walk up to a cell phone company having a cell phone in my pocket and want to talk to them about their services unless they are my company and I have an issue that I need fixed or I have a need that needs to be met. But if first off, like, I know how it's sales, man. I know how they operate. They're like, hey, let me talk to you about this shit you don't want to buy, but I'm going to tell you that you want to buy it.
Right. Okay.
But if you have a charging station, and you're all set up and you're there to help people, or you're like giving out free drinks or whatever to people on a hot day.
Yeah.
Then as a human being, I will talk to you. And then that might build a relationship and be like, oh shit, I didn't know you guys have business services that I need or whatever.
Right. Like I'm a content curator. I don't even have your service, but I have a 16-pin device. Thanks for the charging and the water. Like, what are you guys doing out here? Oh, we're a local store, et cetera. We connect the dots with these guys. Oh, well, no way. I have a podcast. Oh, great. Like, that's how it happens, dude.
Seriously. Like it doesn't how we met or started talking. All it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was. Like, I just happened to be looking at this like old, I was looking at buying this old chopper. And so I was looking on YouTube and I came across this video of this guy who was at some bike show. I think he was in Florida or something. I don't remember. Yeah. And I saw your bike and I was like, oh, that's fucking rad. What is that? So I watched the thing and then you started talking about your brand. I looked you up. I was like, what is this all about? Oh shit, this is dope. And then from there, I think you sent me a message. You're like, how did you find me? Like, who are you? And I was like, oh dude, I just watched this YouTube video. I saw your brand. I thought it was cool. And then now we're chatting on my podcast. Like, it's
the best, man. Like, to me, like, that's and I never count things like that out, man. Like I was saying earlier in the conversation, man, with the guy in the wheelchair, it's like, dude, like, okay, he's drunk and he's eavesdropping on our conversation. And like, literally, dude, it just happened 12 hours ago. Like, what I'm supposed to just X that out because it's like not in the setting of which I think is appropriate for an opportunity?
No, like, opportunities come all the time.
Yeah, like what does that mean? So it's like you said, like, none of what we have talked about so far requires any capital at all. It just requires attention, caring, and being able to like receive and distribute. So it's just interesting to me, dude, when people are like, oh, I can't, like, 2020, dude, what a time to be alive. Like,
yeah. And it's been very interesting seeing what stands out in 2020 and what fails or sidesteps to another thing. And I mean, and it's crazy because like this whole time we haven't even talked about your brand at all yet. So my bad on that.
No, it's okay.
I am super curious. Like, so first off, how did you get started in streetwear? What kind of drove you that way? And second, why did you name it Poorstar?
Dude, I get that question all the time, and I'm forever searching for an answer because what's crazy, man. I really like. I don't know how we acquired this like VIP. Just it's okay, you broke that. Yeah, come to the front of the line. You know what I mean? Like we know you don't have a tour bus. Like it's totally okay. It's my buddy that helped my buddy that owns a land clearing business. And that's really, man, just kind of where it came from, dude. It was just rock star with no guitar and totally just owning what we are. And I think people really identified with that, man, because I think a lot of people are driving the brand new F350 and paying $800 a month and not making the payment.
Yeah, they're doing that whole flex thing, trying to be bigger than they are. Like they're trying to be fancy when they're not fancy.
Exactly. And I was like, you know what, man, if we can brand that it's okay to just own what it is and make it acceptable, like however long it takes us. Like surprisingly, dude, we're almost 10 years in. Which I was
going to ask how long you've been doing this brand.
We're almost 10 years in. And to be honest with you, I don't think we've done much, because I see it every day move like, an inch at a time. I don't talk to people for a year and we've gone, a couple of yards and they're like, okay, dude, you guys are getting ready to score, you know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting, but I rode sport bike freestyle for a long time and it was going to become, I think, an industry. Friends of mine, Bill Dixon, Kane Friesen, Jason Britton, these are pivotal guys that ride for Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki. I mean, these guys were getting street bikes from these manufacturers. And really,
that's the dream, just to get a free bike to just beat the shit out of.
Yeah, they were taking it to the level which I think a lot of people were, might have not been happy with. Like, core people like ourselves are like, oh man, that's cool. Target's giving you a check, and it's like you think about, the cul-de-sac and families and Johnson and Johnson body wash. You don't think about the authenticity of like sprockets and chains and hard parts and soft goods that are relevant. And the flip side of that coin is you have to do that. The industry has to have some type of capital to exist. So I hooked up my buddy Thomas. He lives in California, and they did an event called XDL. And XDL was like what the AMA is Supercross. You know what I mean? Like they were actually riders, developing them as athletes. Like that's where Aaron Colton from Red Bull came from. Remember Aaron Colton? He was like 12. You know what I mean? Like his dad would drive him to the play. Yeah, he's like not even old enough to like sign his own like release form.
It was like James Bubba Stewart.
Same thing, dude. They literally exactly. And these are people that just naturally gifted. They have the whole thing. Like best riders, sure, but they're marketable. They're receptive. They're able to adapt and change, like we've been talking about this whole time. So Red Bull says, okay, we can put the machine behind this. Yeah. So I launched my brand. I was going through some things in my life like everybody else was. And next thing you know, dude, Versus Network, Travel Channel, everybody that was covering it, it goes away. It's gone. It's like skateboarding, dude. It was just one day, it was just gone. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck, man? And we were riding one night. I was doing a demo, separated my AC, destroyed my clavicle, my scapula, my collarbone, the whole nine.
Shit, man. What did you do?
It sucked. We were practicing and I was just drifting around this trailer, literally like dragging my hand on my ground. Me and my buddy, Jesse Toller. It's funny because we have homeboys that drift cars and we're like, oh, we can do that. Like my buddy, Brandon McDowell, he's a D1 or D2 driver now. I don't remember the proper terminology for it, but he's actually got, 370 from ISR. Like he's on Road Atlanta. Like you can turn on, Formula D and like my homie's behind the wheel. And it's crazy because we would do demos collectively together. Mm-hmm. And, experiencing all that culture, diversity and things, I seen like people throwing products out and we would get them. And I'm like, man, this is cool, but it's still got like the Gildan tag in it or like the Hanes tag in it, or like you just didn't take the extra step to turn it inside out and wipe your own tag, like we're not reinventing the wheel. I totally get that. But like, it just lacked in my mind such a user experience, like I got it and it was rad. And I was so happy to be like, thank you. And so grateful, but I never really wanted to go like tell anybody, You know, like, did that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like it had like enough seasoning on it to be like, man, I ate at this restaurant. It's fucking killer. Yeah. You know, like it was just Applebee's, man. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And that's one thing that, like, with our apparel, man, like, just putting a little tag on the inside that says your brand instead of putting your brand on somebody else's product.
Yeah.
Those small things set it off.
They care so much, man. And it was funny. Like, I thought to myself, I said, man, you know, I'm in this sling. I'm like rubbing soap on the tile wall to like wash the other side of my body next. I can't move my fucking arm. Like, yeah, if you ever get wadded up, just body wash the wall. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good idea. Like, I'm trying to think of how I used to take, because I broke my collarbone once, and I think I just kind of like just dealt with it. I can't remember, but that's a good idea.
You figure it out, man. And you know, whatever the case may be. And I was living a little fast and going through relationships, and you know, I was pretty much single at the time, and it was just like, dude, I was like, man, fuck you, I got to clean myself up. And I think right there, going full circle, what we initially started talking about, you know, like recognizing that you have nothing. And then, like you said, adapting to the situation, like when they would put you guys on the ground, be like, all right, we got to go this way. I know, like, here's where we need to go, but we got to go this way. Like, instead of scaling the ravine, let's do what we can. You know what I mean? And that's better than doing nothing at all. So whether I actually got down in my sling and whatever, at least this side of me was fresher. You know? So like,
exactly, man. Like, you got to take what you have and do the best you can.
Dude, it's better than doing nothing at all. Slow motion is better than no motion, man. I'm telling you.
I agree. I totally agree. And sometimes moving slower is better than moving fast.
Oh man, like, I'm so glad it's taken us this long, and I'm so glad you touched on that, because there was times that I was like, we're ready, I'm getting the loan, we're doing this, etc. And I'm so glad, because I wasn't even seasoned enough. I didn't even have enough time under my belt, dude. If something would have came into my lap like that, like I would have just destroyed everything that we were.
You know,
not intentionally, but just through excitement and like fucking thinking I knew better than I really did.
Yeah. And you know, I'm glad that you said that shit, because with my hot sauce brand, Brotaco Foods, like I'm at that point where, like, thanks, man. Like, I'll have to after we're done with this, I'll have to get your info, and I'll send you like a freebie bottle or something. Check it out.
For sure.
But like, I'm at the point now where people are literally throwing money at me, and they're like, hey, I want to invest. And I've been saying no, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, there's a couple of them where I'm entertaining the idea, but it's like, can I, like, is now is the time where, like Gary Vee said, where I throw gasoline on this fire and fucking run with it?
Yeah.
Or do I need to slow down just a tiny bit to make sure that I'm doing it the right way, so that when I do just throw gas on that fire, it's ready to go? And like, I've been in my head for the past couple of weeks, like, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Like, if I had that money, I could do all these things, but is now the time? And you never really know. That's the hard part. You just got to risk it.
No, respectfully, you know,
but you got to at least be smart and try to mitigate your risks.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. You know, I think like in one of your points, you know, like, okay, from consultant to consultant, right? Like, if that's what we want to build a version, you know, a lot of like, we can do these things, or I can do these things, and that's exciting, and I respect that, because you know where you want to go, which is half the battle. But I always tell people, dude, and again, not undermining, just completely wide open, like, sell the business like it's already sold. Like, sell the business like it's already sold. Like, if you need money to fill a purchase order, then yeah, dude, go take it out, throw the gas on the fire, light that bitch up, get a little uncomfortable, because
I mean, being uncomfortable is how you get things done.
Yeah. Dude, like the property I just bought, I got to be honest with you, I have no business buying it. Like, my buddy has a way bigger bag than I'll ever have. And he was like, you should get in on this. And I'm like, dude, this is like not even in my budget. Like, you know what I mean? But it's at the end of the day, it's been sitting there since 1924. So in my mind, it's raw earth land, and it's positive debt, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it does. I've been learning about positive debt lately.
Yeah. If I didn't do nothing with it and I forgot about it, dude, by the time I'm 60, it's got to be worth more than what it was. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, as things develop, which is a bit easier business to dissect. But like you were saying with your brand, man, like, if you need the money to fill a purchase order, then run it. You know what I mean? But if
that's kind of where I'm at.
yeah, in your mind, if you're like, it's better that it's refreshing to hear you say that you're there, because like in your mind, if you're like, if I had the capital, like I was saying earlier, we could do this, this, and this, like those might not necessarily be the right things, dude. You know what I mean? And that's where you play tug of war with slowing down. And I think that like, Steve Jobs said it best, man, when the idea and the concept is correct, it will pull you into it, dude. You will be up for days because you just can't get away from it, because you're making so much progress so quickly because it's just correct.
Well, that's what's been happening. It's crazy. It's only been 4 months. I started doing this as a blog just to stay creative during quarantine. Right. And now like people have literally been pulling me in to be like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And so like, and where I'm at now, it's more of a, should I move because it's the right thing to do, or do I just want to move? And that's the issue. Like if you just want to move, you shouldn't do it. But if you have to move, that's when you're like, all right, I got to do this because things need to get done.
That's it, man. And that's another thing I was just going to say, to even further simplify it, man, for not only both of us, but even everybody that's going to, be watching, is like, my thing is this, man, like the fear comes from unknown. And when you have options, there's no longer an unknown. So the fear is obsolete at that point, because you know what's going to happen if you do A, B, or C. But when you don't know what A, B, or C is, you're fearful, and you play that tug of war with yourself of should I or shouldn't I, because you have a fear of failing. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to do that. Or I mean,
failure is like the best and worst thing.
Dude, I lose all the fucking time. Like I can't even like I am literally getting ready to put out a 3/4 sleeve that says like the long shots on it. That's going to be like our team with the 0. You know what
nice.
I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes those things pay off, and when they do, it's dividend level. You know what I mean? And I feel like at the end of the day, man, like once you can eliminate your fear with options, then make your move. But if you have the unknown, you have to find your options so you have no more fear. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing that holds people back. The fear of failing, or of not producing as much. It might not even be failing. It might just be like, oh, we hit here and I wanted to hit here. I was really wanting to.
So you feel like, I've been in those situations too. Like you're still a success by your metrics, but you didn't hit your metrics. So you feel like it's a failure.
Which is healthy, because you want that. You know what I mean? The moment that you're okay, that's when you're either going to plateau. And in my mind, dude, that's not failure. That's just when you're like, you know what, man, maybe we should get rid of this thing, because I don't know if it's a lack of passion. I don't know if I burned myself out on it, which I've done with my brand. I've literally burned myself out. At one point in time with my company, I was like, if this is not all I do every single day, and just keep it in my peripheral as well, that it's not going to succeed. And it held me back so much. I wish that I got into tattooing much sooner and the podcast industry sooner, because what I realized was I'm an artist. You know what I mean? I'm a creative, so to say. You know what I mean? And creating in those different mediums, dude, with custom painting and graffiti and just drawing for tattoos is only going to make the art better for the textile. And the podcast is just the vessel that's going to be able to cross-pollinate and move it all around. And I was like, why did I not do that? Why did I actually think that I was smart enough to create something that was that good that it didn't need nothing else to sustain itself? You know what I mean? Like,
well, and like you can do something and just be like, this is my niche, but you also got to understand that like you can have other things that collaborate.
Yeah, they're totally relevant.
Niche. Like everything is relevant. Everything works together.
Yep.
That's not you like spreading yourself too thin. It's just you being more strategic with how, like, if you're thinking of it from a marketing thing, it just makes your funnel better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or if you're just thinking of it as a creative outlet, like I used to draw all the time as a kid. I thought I was going to be a comic book artist. And then that's all I drew. But then if I was to stick with it, like I could have drawn other things that could have supplemented and still stay creative, but you can still keep working towards what you want to do. Like if I wanted to draw X-Men or the Avengers or whatever as a career, that's fucking awesome. But Like I'm still going to have to every once in a while be like, all right, these people want me to draw something for their business, their logo, their
right. Took it right out of my mouth. That's so awesome, man. I'm like, it's so cool that
it's all creativity. It's just how you like
yeah.
it expands your mind. If I'm drawing Batman every single day as a comic book artist, that's all I'm going to be able to do. You could ask me to draw a rose and I'm like, it's a rose, but it's got Batman's face on it.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a bat rose.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't keep
mean?
yourself so like there's a balancing act when it comes to being pinpointed focus on your tasks and your craft, but then there's also like putting the blinders on to where you don't see anything else except for this one thing, and you're just limiting your growth, your your development. You can't impact your community as good or as well.
Dude, it's so well said. I can't stress enough, like you were saying, dude. Literally built 4 walls and a roof around myself as close together and as low as I possibly could by just doing that thing. You know what I mean? Like Mr. I don't want to pigeonhole myself. Literally, I put myself in it. Like I drilled the hole, got in it, and like wiped the drywall spackle over it from the inside. You know
No, I agree. I've done the same thing, man. I've literally done the same thing.
The light switch didn't work. I was like, what? I can't see it here. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's crazy too, because when you're doing it, you don't necessarily notice that you're doing it. And then one day you just wake up and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Dude, you know, like like well said, man. And it's so refreshing to have a conversation with somebody like that, because I think few and far between people are bold enough to recognize and admit that, and instead of just being like, oh well, physical retail died, and I just know nothing about e-commerce. And it's like, okay, I don't think physical retail or e-commerce had anything to do with it, but I think it had to do with it. You burned yourself out. You know what I mean? You didn't explore other avenues, like you were saying, man. It was such a perfect analogy when you're like, I could draw comic shit all day because that's my passion. It's what I love. But to turn down graphic design for the restaurant that your buddy was able to adapt and overcome and finally get in the black, like, why would you not do that? Because here's the craziest thing. What's to say somebody from Stan Lee's camp don't eat at your boy's restaurant? And he's like, yo, who did that, man? It's got like a real comic vibe to it. Oh, my buddy Sean over here, and et cetera. Next thing you know, dude, like he calls you in for lunch and you just think it's like lunch. And it's like, hey, what's going on, man? The guy sits his car on the table and it's got the Marvel logo on it. You're like,
right? Like, and that's what it is. Like, it's
had nothing to do with drawing Batman.
Like, and it's funny too, because like your passion is to do this, you do that all day, and then you do something else, but it still has you in it. It's not like just because you're creating something else, it doesn't have your own flair on it.
Right.
It's
that's
like,
what I mean. Like,
so like this podcast, for example, and I want to talk more about your podcast after this, but like this podcast, like it's not me going and leading veterans out into the wilderness to go on expeditions and to learn survivalist skills and teaching corporate team building retreats. It has nothing to do with that. Right. But it's still me doing something with my personality, with my flavor. Yeah. It's still a part of who I am, as far, even if you look at it from like a brand perspective, it's on brand because it's fucking me.
You're the
exactly. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you are authentic and you own your shit and you do it exactly how you want. Not exactly, I don't want to say exactly how you want to do it, because there's give and take on certain things.
No, yeah, but I fully believe in that, because I go through it with my tattoo thing now. Like I totally agree that there's like the way, but there's also a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I respect that, dude. I do. Like, okay, cool. The pharaohs built the fucking pyramids, but like we still put up the World Trade Center. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like you look at like you said, the pyramids or anything else, like they did it their way and it's lasted forever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it works for us now.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, another large part of business, man. And it's, again, so refreshing to have this conversation, because I think when you're able to A, take accountability, B, bold enough to admit your fault, and then C, figure out what's working best for not only yourself, but also the people around you that may just be collectively helping you. Like without payroll, nothing. Somebody that just gives 5 fucking minutes of their own time to you to just be like, dude, I don't know, I would do this. And you're like, I don't think designing a logo for my buddy's restaurant's a thing. And they're like, yeah, well, you know what's crazy? Like half the people from Marvel across the street eat here. And you're like, Not okay. Okay, not a bad idea.
Right? Yeah. But then
yeah.
you get in your own head and you probably screw it up. At least I would do. I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it. I have to put like all this shit in there. Like
Oh, dude, then you
they
kill
see
yourself.
Batman all day. They don't, or well, Marvel, they wouldn't see Batman, but
Right. But
like they see Spider-Man all day. Like they don't want to
Right.
see more fucking Spider-Man. Like just do
Yeah.
your thing, be authentic. And that's like the biggest thing. Like most of my opportunities in my life have been literally totally accidental. Like
Yeah.
I put myself out there in a situation that I wasn't necessarily comfortable in. I happened to talk to somebody. They asked me what I did. I told them what I was working on. And they're like, that's super cool. Let's talk more. And then it became something completely different. And
Yeah.
it was just because I was just doing my thing and I was passionate about it and I believed in it. And like you said, I was willing to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And like you said with the guy in the barbecue parking lot, like, hey man, what do you do? This is me. I need your help.
I mean, man, it was that easy. Or, it's like, okay, go to the excavation company, deal with the secretary, deal with the sales associate, deal with the emails going back and forth, negotiate your odd, buddy, your name's Sean, my name's Anthony. Like, yeah, what do you do? I clear land. Word. Like, how much?
Yeah. Like it's that simple.
I don't understand why people turn it into this Rubik's Cube, and I think it's more so, and this is just my personal opinion, I could be completely wrong, and it's like I would love for the comment section to just blow up and tell me how off I am, because I would just love to see the data, of what's what. But like at the end of the day, man, like I think people are like, it's very easy to make something complicated. So with limited skill set, I can do that, and I'll have so many reasons to justify why I couldn't make it happen. So that's their parachute. You know what I mean?
You hear that at every bar you'll ever go to. When you tell someone your idea, they'll be like, oh, I had this great idea to do this shit, but this, and this. Every single time, man. People always got excuses for why they couldn't make it, when really it boils down to you didn't fucking work hard enough.
No.
And you didn't adapt to shit that happened.
Dude, I can promise you this right now. There is probably things that me and you are fucking terrible at. More so
sure.
than we're good. And there's people out there that are fucking great at them. They're great at them. But you know what they're really terrible at? Fucking owning the fact that they are, and then wanting to justify why they don't. And I'm like, if you just take one day out of the 7 that you hate yourself and apply yourself. And just see what happens.
I'll take it one step further, man. Like with this food blog thing, there's so many better people that like they know way more about cooking, they know way more about food.
Up here.
But the thing is like I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like they can make a better product for sure, but they're not executing. And I'm executing, and the only reason I'm even moving forward with it is because people love the shit. And I'm like, as long as you guys love it, I'll make it for you. Because it was just my hobby.
Right.
So it's like there's always going to be somebody that's better at what you're doing, but they're not better at making it happen.
Not only that too, man. I think people are so worried about. So again, further unpacking it, I should say, people are so worried about what they look like. They're in the world of social. Like, here's the deal, dude. Like, you hit the highlight window on Instagram or the story thing or whatever, man. Like, somebody's going to look in your window just like they would if they were driving by your home. So whether you're in your boxers eating cereal, or whether you're like standing up talking with a group of people and there's this fucking PowerPoint, whatever picture you want to paint of progress, you know what I mean, going on when they pass by is neither here nor there. And that's why, like, on a lot of my content, like you were talking about for the brand yesterday, I am totally okay with making a complete asset. Like when I posted the Billy Madison clips, like I was like, I wonder if the IG guys are like, can we start the story now? You shot it for 15 like at the end of the day, in my mind, man, like you should be okay with that, because like getting back to the business, like you were saying, if you don't build an identity around the product, it doesn't matter, man, if their sauce is better or it's worse.
Yeah.
But if there's the market can identify with it and go, oh man, that dude likes Seattle. He likes, whoever the receiver is, on their team or whatever.
I mean, it's Blue Friday, man. Like I was actually wondering if you were going to talk shit about what I was wearing, but I was like, I don't give a fuck if he does.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's why this is working. You know what I mean?
It's like, and back to the sauce thing, like it's not for me. This is how I look at it. Like there's so many other hot sauce brands that I didn't even know about till I started doing this. And like, I'm like, oh, that looks good. Oh, their branding is on point, this or that. And it's like, I could sit there and compare it and be like, oh, I'm not doing so great.
Which is the worst.
It's the worst. Like I look at it like,
man.
oh, that's a great idea. I'm
Yeah.
going to do that my way. But
When I stopped
like,
doing that,
I don't even say what?
when I stopped comparing myself is when I started seeing success.
Exactly. And it's your own success. You stop trying to emulate their shit.
Oh, dude.
But the biggest thing about the sauce is like, even though their sauce is better, I'm not making sauce to make it better than them. I'm making sauce to make the best sauce I can make for the people that like it. It's for them and it's for me. It's not to be better than anybody else.
That's what people identify with. You know, that's why I'm wide open on my Instagram. People see me walking over the bridge with parts from my chopper. Like, yeah, dude, I have those days too. Like, it sucks. Like, you know what I'm saying?
By the way, is I have two bikes. One is I don't have a Harley yet, but one's a Honda Shadow. It just, I don't know what's wrong with it. And because of quarantine and COVID, it's been at a buddy's house and I haven't been able to touch it. So I feel you on the bike's not running. And then like I have a project bike behind this screen here. It's an old 79 Yamaha SR 500 that I got from a buddy in boxes. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And so it's just sitting there. So it's like, I feel you, man, where you're just like, fuck, I just want a bike that runs. Like, I just want a bike that runs.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I also think being public with those things, like you disclosing that with me or putting it on IG or whatever, in my mind, man, is spectacular because people know you're a real person.
It's not fake. It's not me going, oh, I know how to build this custom bike and I can do all this shit. No, I have no fucking clue. In fact, like part of this episode, I got sent this this book. At the end of this episode, I'm doing a book report for this brand, or it's not brand, a publisher group that sent me this book on how to build a motorcycle, a custom motorcycle. I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm open about it. And because of that, they're like, I told them like, this is what I'm doing. I have this podcast. And they're like, yeah, they sent me this book to review it so that other people can get my honest opinion on whether it's worth a shit, because I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to be real about it.
Now, like you were saying, dude, unpack that. Like we were talking, you know, back to the business, like we were talking about, when people go, oh, you know, I have this degree and I make X amount of money a month. Okay, great. Well, because like you were saying, you don't put yourself out there and you're not honest about really who you are. You know what I mean? Somebody doesn't save you the MSRP on that book. Like you didn't have to put out the money for that, dude. And to me, like all those little things add up. You know what I mean? Because we're just wide open about who you are. So in my mind, man, like, you know, what's your definition of success? Mine would just say having the ability to say, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that is. Teach me. You know what I mean? Like, and learning.
It takes a long time to get to that point where you're okay with not knowing things.
Yeah, you have to have that individual security, man. That's what I was telling you in the DMs like last night. I was like, man, it's so refreshing to talk to somebody that, like, when you were like, oh, yeah, the IG content is good. Like,
yeah, man, cool. Like your stories are on point. Like, and they're always interesting. I was like, man, like I put up stories, but like I didn't take that next step. And then seeing yours, I was like, this shit's good. Dude, I should step my game up.
I do, dude. I'm very humbled by that. Like, thank you so much. And I've let the cat out the bag. Half of like that filter or effect or whatever you want is like me, like, you know, shuffling my fingers over the camera to make like a light effect or something.
Oh, no shit.
Oh, dude. Like, bro, if you only knew the way that we did things, you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
No. Like I told, like, because I do photography as a hobby, and you see some of the stuff that's like, oh, that's super cool. I bet they did all this crazy stuff. And then you see the behind the scenes, they're like, no, we just took some dirt and threw it on the lens, or we did all this. Like,
it was our rustic filter.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have to spend a bunch of money and know all this stuff. You just have to be willing to try new things. And if they don't work out, cool, whatever, but learn from them.
Exactly, man. And that to me, man, is like, you know, that's what you know. I love to inspire and influence and really just kind of like ignite. I'm not worried about creating competition. I'm not. Like, I welcome it. To be honest with you, I think it's healthy. You know, if it's progressive. You know, if it's counterproductive and people feel some type of way about it, then okay, fine. But you
Yeah.
know, I'm completely okay with somebody coming into my space and doing something more successful than I've ever done. Because in my mind, I'm like, wow, okay, at least I have enough of an aura that it, whatever rubbed off, whatever verbiage you want to build around it, dude, allowed someone to create at a level that maybe they never have. And it's produced this profit of whether it's finance or exposure or whatever, again, verbiage you want to build around it. Like, I'm glad they got to have that moment. And if I'm only responsible for that, great. You know, it's like Jay Adams, dude, doesn't have a character in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or et cetera or whatever. You know, I don't know about the new one because I haven't played it yet, but
I have.
wait, is it good?
Dude, it's straight up like memories playing that
I
shit.
love it.
Like, and it's
I
like,
love it.
I pre-ordered it and I was like, I'm gonna play the shit out of this.
I
And
love
then like
it.
you start playing it and it's like, fuck that. It's like being a teenager again, playing this.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like, and if for whatever reason Tony Hawk ever hears this, the only thing I don't like is that I can't just grab a controller and play with a buddy. They have to have an Xbox Live account and all this crap. And I hate that shit. Like, I just want to be able to split screen it. Dude, it's bullshit.
But you know, going back to that, it's like that guy, dude, never got the Ubisoft deal and et cetera, right? And you know, the times were different. It was much earlier, and game consoles weren't as advanced. And again, whatever variables are in that equation. However, you know, they made a fucking movie about those people. You know what I mean, man? And in the end, he's considered the spark that lit the fire. And to me, it's like at the end of the day, it's like there wouldn't even be light to create video games and things like that, and et cetera, or even explore those avenues. Like we were saying earlier, again, I love all these things that are satellite in this conversation. Putting yourself out there and going to EA or Ubisoft or whatever and getting in the spandex suit with the green balls and getting put in space and saying like, dude, let's try this. Like, yeah, it's corpo and it might not be core, but it's in the best interest of our industry. You know, so you can't be mad at someone for pioneering that, dude. You know
it brought skateboarding into so many homes that
dude, when Lil Wayne stopped wearing tall tees and started skateboarding, like, are you kidding me? His age and industry demographic quadrupled. Like, that's where that guy made his money. You know, when he did, you know, whatever 100 Degrees with Juvenile and those guys, great. I respect that, man. And that was that time. But he knew, man, like, I'm going to go do that. You know, my buddy Brian Schaefer owns skate park in Tampa. Like, Wayne has a place in Miami, et cetera. Like, you know, loosely we get to hear what's really going on at those tables. And it's like, it was one of the smartest things he ever did. You know what I mean? Because he was like, yo, I hate to say this, but all these kids in the cul-de-sacs, man, they got the, you know, expendable capital to go buy my album. So I got to do something that identifies with these people. And next thing you know, it was like the music was big, but Wayne changing as a person and getting into action sports and just what comes with that. A lot of people that write music, a lot of people that make hot sauce, a lot of people that tattoo, a lot of people that do graphic design, whatever. Skate, it's an outlet. Or they ride being. They're in action sports as a whole is so culturally diverse and casts such a wide net that, like, dude, it just opened up to truck fit and all kinds of, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, it became this thing. You know, it was this monster. It was like for a while he wasn't even doing music. You know? So it's
you see the videos of him skating and stuff. Like, and honestly, like I longboard. I'm not very good. I can hit some hills or whatever. I took a bad crash and my knee was never the same afterwards, so I kind of get a little sketchy. But like, I wish I could skateboard. Like, I think it's dope, like doing all the tricks and everything, but it's just like, I don't have the coordination for that. I can't necessarily do it, but like, I can stand on a board and I can push around town and have a good time.
Absolutely. You know, and my thing is like, dude, that's just another facet of skateboarding. You know what I mean? Downhill, street skating, mini ramp, you know, park, whatever. And it's like, you know, you see it with platforms now, like X Games. Like, you know what? Instead of renting out the Staples Center, we're just going to go to a random place in Seattle, and we're going to talk to the city. And if anything, dude, we're going to beautify the space. We're going to contribute. Like, Vans has been doing a killer job at that. They build their park series, and then they leave it there. And now Barcelona, nowhere has this brand new Masonite and an outlet for underprivileged kids to go there and just skate at a contest level.
That's super cool.
Put together by a professional. And it's like, that's the sustainability, dude, that like people should start implementing. Yeah,
And that's
you know
one
what
of
I
the
mean?
reasons I support Vans. It's one of the reasons I
Yeah,
wear their shoes. I support their brand. Like
yeah.
last time I was at a
It's
Vans
bigger than
store,
the shoe.
yeah, they use their platform to do things for other people. They reinvest in their community and other
Yeah,
communities.
yeah,
It's like I don't need a shopping bag necessarily,
no.
but I was at a Vans store and they're like, hey, you want to buy this shopping bag? Depending which bag you buy, it raises money for underprivileged kids to skateboard or to
Oh,
surf. So I was like,
yeah.
all right, well, I skate, so I'm gonna do the skateboarding one. And
Yeah, me too.
now I have this Vans bag that's in my Jeep that I take in the Safeway to when I
Right.
go shopping, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like the IKEA bag. You
Yeah,
know?
like basically, it's like
Yeah.
I would have never bought that if it
No.
wasn't for what they were using it for.
Dude, I do a lot of stuff in the custom program. I had the privilege of speaking with some of those people there, and we wanted to do a shoe. The guy goes, "Man, I love it." He goes, "But I gotta be honest."
What's the program?
The Vans custom program.
Oh, okay,
Like,
yeah, I saw your shoes on your story.
yeah, anyone can go and do that, and I'm wide open about it. Like I'm so excited to tell people that it's an unofficial collab, and you can do exactly what we're doing. You know what I mean, and et cetera. But the MSRP again, because you're working at quantity. But
Yeah.
back again to the business side, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record when I keep saying that. It's just I'm so excited to share that information with not only yourself and maybe get some education from you as well. But I think it's cool, man, that like they offer that knowing physical retail is going away. Independent brands don't have the capital to order semis of shoes, be stuck with size 9 through 7, sell out in 10 through 12. You know what I mean? So they're like, yeah, it's your artwork. And because you're a company, you send us your corporation license, your number, et cetera. No one can do anything with your logo on it. Like nobody can take Seattle's logo and put it on a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll flag it. You know what I mean? They have that all in their database. But you could go on and do a shoe with your hot sauce because you own the company. They verify your incorporation license, et cetera. And you could say, hey, you know what? The first person to purchase a case of our hot sauce is going to get a free pair of our Vans, our customs. And
Nice.
it's like, you can utilize that. And then again, you can have a piece of footwear in your catalog. And I couldn't believe that the guy told me that. I couldn't believe he shared that information and it changed. I was like, wow, people should share information because I was so excited to use the product. I was so much more exclusively connected to it. And I cared so much more about it that I was like, man, okay, if we do the shoe, it costs us X amount and we got to make our markup by the time we ship it and whatever, and get paid for our time and the business. And I respect that. I thought to myself, you know what? The next release we'll do, because we only do 48 pieces, one lucky person is going to get a pair of those shoes. Yeah, they'll still be available for the guy that's like the shoe collector and he's okay with those price points. But you know what, man? For the rest of our community that maybe can't swing that or just can't justify swinging that, can at least say, you know what? If I blow $25 on a baseball tee, I might get an X amount pair of fucking shoes. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, why would I not recycle that just business? And I was like, man, it was so much more to me than just a shoe company. And I was like, that's why these people are going to be in business like fucking PF Flyer and Converse, because they care, dude. Like we were talking about in the very beginning of this episode. Like, how are you owned by VF, your $1 billion company, and you don't give a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, that's wild to me, dude. Like, in my mind, you have all the more time to care. Like, I've been following Steve Van Doren on IG, and he's like literally visiting every store. Like, whatever's out there, dude. I hope that guy lives as long as he can, because he's just one of those people that I think the world needs to have in it. Not because I'm the super fan of Vans, but because he's just a good man of business. And what a place this world would be if Steve Jobs or other people were just alive that much longer. Yeah.
Well, we probably wouldn't have iPhones. They're just recycled technology.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be the bigger screen.
Or they take away options.
Yeah, that guy launched that thing as a fucking tool, and it was like, yeah, cool, we got groundbreaking technology, but it's like their devices are functional, dude. You can like take an iPhone and put it in a fucking Nerf gun, and it has the crosshairs, and you see your buddies, and like it makes an experience. It was so much more than just a phone. Like Vans was so much more than just a shoe. So like you were saying about Poorstar, that's why I initially got into it. Because I was like, you know what, dude, this is just more than a 5-pack of Gildan tees or Hanes to me. I'm going to really make it mine. If I have to hand sew every hem label, if I have to turn everyone inside out. We were heat pressing shirts in the fucking closet of my condo. You know what I mean, dude? Like, that's just what it was until it came into, learning other sources out there. Like you were saying about LinkedIn. Like, what a great space. Go on Facebook, dude, if you want to banter. Go on Instagram if you want to do magazine things. You know what I mean? Go on Twitter if you just want to randomly shout something out in the cafeteria, then maybe somebody will hear it. But like LinkedIn is like, yo, I need to get some socks made. Like, who's doing that?
That's such a great way of putting it.
Yeah. you know what I mean? And it's like because those people that are on LinkedIn they want to connect those dots. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think, I don't know, me personally, it's not so much the platform's not as popular as this one and blah, blah. They're just for certain things. And once you recognize that, you can use it for what your needs are, you know? And it's like, again, like we were talking about with the military base and just being able to control your feelings and emotions. All you gotta do is whittle it down, dude. It's in there, you know? And then once it's, you know, digestible and you can chew on it, dude, and you can fit it in your face, you're like, okay, I don't really like the way that tastes. You know, I'm going to put some salt and pepper on it. Yeah. You know,
which is most things that you get in the military. Like, this doesn't taste very great, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like Parmesan chicken in a bag from 2004. Sweet.
You joke, but that's like some real shit you come across.
Yeah, man. I just think that, like, you know, there's tools there to utilize, and it's as easy as picking them up and really ultimately using them sometimes, you know, for what they're not for, you know.
Yeah, and you can't be scared of the tool either. Like, if you want it, like say for example, you've never made a video before in your life ever.
Yeah.
And you open up Adobe Premiere, and if you look at it, I don't know any, like, I know the very basic stuff, but it's extremely intimidating.
Yeah, Final Cut is like even worse. It's intimidating.
See, I learned on Final Cut, so it's easier for me with Final Cut. Switching to Adobe because the whole creative platform where everything can work together I just had to make that call.
Bridges and everything like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I made that call, and I was just like, well, I got to relearn all this shit. But like, it's crazy intimidating, but it's just a tool. So you have to figure out what you want to do, and then you go and search for how to do that. So like I call it YouTube University. You go to YouTube, you learn what you need to learn, and then you just take the time to actually do it.
Yeah, dude, that's the Will Smith movie, man. It's just like, oh, that's the iRobot in us today. It's like, oh, we'll go there, we'll retain the information. The only difference is just not being able to put the micro USB in your kneecap. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's like you go and do it. But it's funny because, like you said, you're like, oh man, it's like it's intimidating or whatever the verbiage is. And you think to yourself, like, it's really not, because in your mind you're so familiar with Final Cut that you're like, okay, I can produce this video by Monday, no problem. But
I wouldn't say that, but still, it's like,
right.
It's still like, you look at it and you're like, shit.
Right. But like in Adobe, you're like, fuck, I'm so unfamiliar with some of these tools that if I click the run and erase these projects, I'm fucked. So now I got to go research this on YouTube and et cetera. So in your mind, like, the clock is just.
Yeah, you stress yourself out.
So the weight of defeat is just like, it's coming down, dude. You know what I mean? And you're just like, fuck, I want to get this out by Monday. You know what I mean? like so, again, going back to what we were talking about, it's like, I wish more people were just able to recognize, find your options, you know, defeat the unknown, and then pick A, B, or C, and say, this is what we can do. And then you have your timetable projections, your cash flow projections, you know, your opening, your closing, your release dates, whatever. You know, I constantly ask my community all the time, even if I don't know, which I think is another big thing. Like when we did those bandanas, and I'll get a sample out to you because I have some left.
Oh shit!
I think you'll really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm not thinking dual purpose item because I don't watch too much TV. You know what I mean? I'm fucking slam busy. But I thought to myself, you know what? Let's just ask the community. We'll go on IG and say, yo, should we do these 48 pieces, or should we leave the website open for 48 hours because technically it's a dual purpose item? People are like, oh, this is so great. Thank you so much for including us. Like, I'm buying 2 and 3. I need one for me, my chick, her kid, like except I didn't even think. I'm like, oh wow, we're providing a service. And nice. We learned that from our own community, man. Like, the moment you think you're smarter than your customer, dude, like, you lost. You know what I mean? Like I'm serious, man, because those people, like, without them, you wouldn't be shit. And I'm not too man to admit that. However, like, you would be, like we were saying about, you know, your boy at the restaurant who might maybe know those people or whatever the case may be, the guy behind me in the wheelchair. Like, dude, you just don't. He was like, yo, here's an idea. And you're like, no shit. Dude, that took our sales from here to here because we listened to our people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and we weren't afraid to ask the question. Like people are like, oh, you're the CEO. You can't go on Instagram and just ask your customer. Like,
no, you absolutely can't. I think as a CEO, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah,
if
what
you
the
don't
fuck
know
does that
something,
mean?
like you should absolutely be out there going, hey, what do you think? And then you take that information and then you move forward with it.
Yeah, that's why you're the chief executive officer, bro. You go and talk to your fucking tribe and say,
yeah, you're the one that's piloting the ship. Like if you don't know, well, first off, I really like putting, like, so whenever I have a meeting or anything, I try to be the last one to answer a question, because I don't want them to have my input and think because whatever title I have in the team,
offsets it.
It offsets what they're thinking. I want to hear what they have to say first.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back around, because they may have a better idea than me, and now I don't want to talk because what they said is what we're going to do. Right. But also because it's like it validates them as part of the process. So absolutely, having your customer feel validated, and it's like with that movie Sonic, they came out with their character Sonic the Hedgehog, and everybody was like, that's fucked up, terrible. It should look more like this. They went back and changed it because of the customers and the clients saying, no, that's wrong, don't do that. And because of that, people felt so validated that they went to go see that movie, even if it's a trash movie.
Whatever.
People that were invested in that felt validated in their opinion, and so they returned that investment back to the company.
Dude, in my mind, like you were saying, man, like at the end of the day, like it's just it's almost unbelievable, man, to think that you actually know it all and not even want to ask. And like you were saying, let me not say anything to deviate this person from their explanation, you know, justify their title, etc., respect their position, if you will. And not for nothing, like if I don't wait till they're finished talking, I might ask a question that's completely irrelevant, make them feel some type of way about me. You know, this is just all quick chess that you're playing, you know what I mean, et cetera. And on top of it, man, like you said, like that's their idea. That's the appropriate way they're going to do it. And not for nothing, it's a damn good idea, you know? And now my questions changed, or my 2 cents I'm going to implement have that much more value, because now I know exactly what color to put them on. You know what I mean? And it's just like the ROI on that is just volumes, dude. You know, I'm not trying to repeat what you were saying, but I just think it's nice. We should reiterate that, because I think a lot of people are so quick to be like, dude, I got to figure it out. And it's like,
no,
it's like,
that's one thing. That's one thing I've learned.
This meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's one thing I've learned. It's like, as a leader, leadership is weird, man, because everybody thinks of it as, you know, everything, you know what everybody's supposed to be doing, and you dictate everything. Like that's what a leader is in a lot of people's minds. And that's not true. Half the time being a leader is, okay, what do you think we should do?
Oh.
And I'm going to listen to that, and I'm going to use, because you can't lead a fucking empty ship. Like, yes, I know, like, okay, I have the vision. That's my company. This is where we're going. We're going up here.
Right.
But I can't get from point A to point B by myself. I need to work as a team and get us there. So absolutely. Like to a certain extent, yes, you do dictate things, but also you sit there and you really, it's more of a collaboration. I look at leadership as more of a collaboration. Like I'm a big proponent of servant leadership, where it's not me, it's them. I'm here to serve them. Like I'm there to work for them. So whatever they need, it's my job to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's what leadership is making sure your team is taken care of before you are.
Dude, if you look all the way back to wild animals, you know what I mean? The alpha, whatever, you know, is ultimately the one that finds the food, finds the water, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, most people say, I work the hardest, so I'm owed this, or I'm entitled to that. It's
like entitlement shit. I don't fuck with that entitlement shit.
Dude, that's so refreshing, because it's like, I feel the same way. It's just like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, here's the deal. I have this weird internal fucking flame that burns to make sure that everybody's okay. So if you guys feel like letting me get an extra banana because I found the tree that has them all, like, I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden somebody built this title on it, and then it became this occupational status, and then the entitlement sets in, and it's like, dude.
it's for me, I think of the military, it's like that dude who he outranks you and he got his rank, but he thinks because he outranks you, he deserves these things. Like, yes, I have to listen to you because you're my superior and it's the military and that's just how things work. But you don't necessarily deserve my fucking respect or whatever just because mommy, daddy, I told you so.
Yeah, dude.
Like, no, like you have to actually like go out of your way to put your people first and focus on your team, not just go, I'm this rank, you're not, so fuck you, do what I say.
Yeah, no, dude. And what happens? Let me ask you this: when you got all the medals, on your chest, and they're just dragging on the ground next to your sword, you know what I mean? And like, not for nothing, somebody hucks the grenade, and the dude that swept the floor you're walking on is the one that grabs it and throws it back. So like explain that to me, like you said, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's like, dude, I don't know where that comes from, because this guy has far less to lose than you. Still put himself out there for the best interest of just everyone involved willingly. I don't understand.
I mean, that's leadership, man. Like when you're willing to sacrifice yourself for others, you're a leader. And leadership is that like, sorry, like I talk about leadership a lot because like that's what I'm studying in school. I'm lucky and humbled enough to be in those kind of positions, and so it transfers over. And I think it's a huge thing when it comes to community and helping people. It's like you have to sit there and really think about what their needs are and how you can help that.
Yeah, man. Like, and it's cool because like I like the fact that like we connect these dots, but what I really like is the fact that we're just expelling structure, and it's not so much about your hot sauce or my brand. Like I think that's like killer. I really do. I got to be 100%.
I honestly, I kind of felt like I was like, oh, I'm talking about my shit that I do too much.
No. But dude, I think that that's killer, because you know what, man, it's great. It's great to inflate, one another's product or commerce or whatever verbiage you want to build around for it. But I really think ultimately, man, the people that are watching this are like the people that have been watching this, are probably more interested in how they can succeed instead of people that have already succeeded.
Yeah, like I don't need, as I call it, I don't need the stroke of people like, oh, this dude's doing good shit. Like,
Google me, dude.
Even if you don't like me, if you think I'm a piece of shit or whatever, I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing in my life, and I'm still going to reach my levels of success that I feel. So for me, like this whole podcast is how can I learn from other people?
Right.
And how can I help other people learn from them? And that's the whole reason, like I talk to people. It's like, because I don't know, it boils down to what you're saying. I don't know everything.
You don't.
So I'm going to learn from every conversation I have, man.
Dude, if you know everything, let's go buy some lottery tickets right now.
For real, right? Like if I knew everything, I could take what money I have in my bank account and just quadruple that. But I don't.
What you want to do, dude? You fix things in your relationship. Fix things anywhere.
Yeah, the relationship's a different thing when it comes to business,
Yeah.
That's a whole different struggle.
No, yeah, without a doubt, it's a different animal. But I think, like you said, man, it's just it's a lot of. I wish more people were willing to admit that, because I think so many other people, like the guy that pushes the broom, so to say, would be so much more willing to open up. And maybe that dude who's been on payroll for 10 years, who you think is down here, really has the answer.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, seriously, what do you do when he's pulling the trash out of your office where your desk and your furniture is, where you probably cheat on your chick,
I don't do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And, and me neither. And it's like, I just think that that's like unreal, because like I'm probably loyal to things I shouldn't be loyal to. You know what I mean? Because that's just me as a person. B, at the end of the day, I've never undermined or undervalued anyone. because, dude, I have found some of the best inspiration in the first place you would think not to look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, dude, I have gone down dirt roads to be like, these dudes are gonna rob us, and then came across this barn on this property and walked into it, and like, there is the one of one put together by the guy that was on Carroll Shelby's fucking team, and nobody knows about him because he was just the fucking drafter. You know what I mean? And you think like without that, they wouldn't even have had like the aerodynamics to put the chassis together to even win this and become this fucking brand. You know what I mean? So
that's the thing. You never know somebody's background.
Yeah, that to me, dude, that's Poorstar. You know what I'm trying to say? That guy that they're like, oh yeah, and he's like, no shit, dude. Like, here's the drawing.
It's the underdog. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's the underdog.
I did it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I component matched that, and then like, yeah, that guy drove the shit out of it, and yeah, they won those fucking races. But like, no, man, that's it. Like, there's the hammer and the dolly I used on the fucking chassis right there.
That's
and
dope.
They're like, what? Yeah,
that's dope, man. Yeah. Like that just makes me think. We used to do these visits to the veterans home.
Yeah,
and like, dude, you want to go hear some crazy ass stories. Go visit some vets at a retirement center. And this one guy, he just had his computer with him. We were hanging out having coffee and donuts, and it had a Fox Racing sticker on his computer. Oh. I was like, that's kind of fucking weird. This old guy in a wheelchair has got a Fox Racing sticker on his computer. And so I asked him,
his nephew gave it to him or something, you know? Like,
yeah. So I asked him, and it turns out this dude used to do the flat track racing on the Harley Davidson team back in the day. And he used to race for Harley Davidson on the flat track. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, before Fox and Harley was even a fucking thing. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we used to do this and that. And so I start out of the blue, we're talking about like motocross and all this other crazy shit. And it's all it did was like, it's just like this random guy that I was like, hey man, what's up with this sticker? And it turned out to be such a huge part of his past that looking at him, you would have never guessed this at all.
No way. You know, and it's funny that to hear you say that, because it brings me back to the Jay Adams thing, man. You know, like another guy that lives close to us, man, it's like that. His name's Bill Danforth, and he skated on the Alba team. And I encourage you to look him up, because no one, like, it kind of know who he is.
What's the name?
But Bill Danforth. And when you look this guy up, dude, you're gonna be like, are you kidding me? Like, you're gonna see like Dwayne Peters. You're gonna see, you know, Jay Adams. You're gonna see all them guys, and it's like, to see Vans just put out the Alba thing and have Danforth in it just for 2 seconds is mind blowing to me, dude. Because those are the guys, man, that really did it. You know, nothing against Tony. If he's listening, dude, I think he did fucking killer things. I really do. He invested a lot into the industry, dude. He did a lot of great things. But when you look at skateboarding, those guys, man, they're tattooed. They're rugged. They're like mad at something, like you were saying, dude. Like, they're looking for a fucking outlet. Like, that's action sports at its core. You know, maybe those people grew up broke. Maybe their parents are fighting at the house. Maybe they just got a job that they fucking hate. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be some traumatic thing. It could just be
just like some stupid shit.
Yeah, you know, whatever the case may be. And Thrasher magazine, you know, things of that nature. Like, these titles, bro, and this art direction and this creative space exist from that, not from, you know, like, you know, big corporations putting money and shit in front of people's faces. Like, you know, like, I don't mean to keep bouncing around, but it's like with the X Games things, it's like, I think X Games will come back because now they're actually going and investing in the community and not just selling Staples Center and worried about ticket prices and who's coming and catering to them and putting them in hotel rooms. And it's like, I appreciate that, dude. I really do. I think those guys should definitely those fruits, you know what I mean? But like, bro, take your ass out to the curb. And I can guarantee you, man, there's some kid outside the Staples Center that couldn't afford a fucking ticket and is waiting for somebody's team manager to walk by so he can just send himself down a set of steps that he know he ain't gonna make. But like, just, you know, like, as a talent, I guess you would say, looking at that, you'd be like, dude, this kid has nothing.
Yeah.
And crushing it. You know what I mean?
It's like, and it's like, you see, what's the dog face? Have you seen that video?
Yeah, dude, with the cranberry.
Yeah, like that guy. I guess the story is that like his car broke down on the highway.
Yeah,
and he had to get to work, so he goes longboarding, and he's just like, I'm having a shitty day. I'm gonna vibe out. And then like it's totally changed his life just by
Dude,
the fact that
that guy made 500,000 followers in 1 week.
yeah, and then like half of his
In
money
1 week.
sorry, my dog's barking.
Oh,
Half his money.
right.
Hold on a second. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take a quick second. But anyways, getting back to it. So we're gonna wrap this up. It's been super awesome chatting with you, dude.
Yeah.
I think there's been some awesome things that we talked about, but I do have some last minute things I just want to ask you.
Absolutely, dude.
Let me get back to my little notes really quick.
No worries.
So if you could, looking at your younger self, before you started Poorstar, all that stuff.
We can run it back, dude. Ain't no big deal.
Before you started Poorstar and all that stuff, what singular piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Man, my younger self, I would just say, don't think too far into it, man. I really would, because I have a huge problem with that, and I think a lot of people have a struggle with that. I think it's a very common thing, and when things are forced, they're probably stuff you shouldn't be doing.
It's true.
It
usually blows up in your face too. Like if it doesn't feel right and you still try to force it, never really ends well.
Dude, this podcast studio has sat here for a year, and off or on the record, man, I don't care what you do with it, because I'm just wide open like that. But I can tell you this, man. I often wonder now, after having this interview, if there's not dots that me and you can connect, because maybe it'd be nice to have a co-host that's in the space and familiar with it. And everything's so remote in 2020. Who knows what kind of dots we could connect? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm sure that this probably won't be the last week.
Oh, it's funny too, because when I first started doing this podcast, all of it was on location. I would bring my little setup and I'd do it right then and there. And now, because like everything's so remote, it makes it so fucking easy. And the quality, sure, it's not like amazing quality, but it doesn't need to be, as long as your audio is solid.
Yeah.
People are forgiving. It's the audio that has to be quality. If it's crap, then like
right, no doubt.
It's like, I have no problem. Like, if you want to sit and talk podcast stuff, I don't know everything, but I know some stuff. And there's no way this is gonna be the last time we talk, first off, because we both comment on each other's stuff and stories and stuff like that. And I think your vibe, especially with the brand and everything you guys are doing, also that rat chopper bike you got is fucking sick.
Oh man, thank you. That thing, dude, I literally, bro, built out of a fucking let me tell you something, dude. Long story short, I, was seeing a little bit of success, had a penthouse, went to a dentist, saw the news, Midwest collapse, Daytona Beach. Guy parked a skid steer in my living room, fell through the roof, right? While I'm building that bike. I'm like, okay, cool. I leave the dentist's office, I go start building the bike, like nothing even happened. I just totally blocked it out. Buddy of mine comes around the corner, goes, yo, this is if I was gonna make it up, I'd make it believable. Comes around the corner and goes, hey, I think somebody tried to steal your truck. And I'm like, okay. 2-3 hours go by, the sun's kind of setting, I see red and blue lights bouncing off the warehouse wall. And they're cutting somebody out of a car that hit my company rig, totaled it. Yo, I'm telling you right now, whatever's up or out there will deviate you if you stick to something you shouldn't be sticking to. And that's why I'm only telling you that, dude, not on some sob shit, but just to justify the answer to the question you asked me. Like you might think you're in control, bro, and you're not. Like you said, you are just steering this thing, dude.
And it's interesting because like I've been in situations where I knew I shouldn't be involved in some shit. Like this isn't the venture for me. This isn't the relationship for me. This isn't whatever. And then you're like, but whatever, I'm gonna do it anyways. And then God, the universe, whatever you believe in, comes back to bitch slap the fuck out of you. Be like, no, stupid, just straight up like, boom, I'm not giving you the option. Get the fuck out of this.
I literally walked up in the penthouse, dude, moved the condemned tape off the door, opened it, walked in, seen shattered glass, all my shit crushed. I walk out on the roof, and like a 3-wood driver I got from Play It Again Sports for like $8 was laying there. And I used to have like a bag of golf balls, and we'd slam them off the roof into the intercoastal. And dude, I just cracked one last golf ball, left the driver there the whole 9, man, and literally didn't take a fucking thing from the house. Because I was like, you know what? Whatever's in here doesn't need to be with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole other rig that was totally done. Like you see it on our Instagram, dude. It was like the urban assault ring, power, water, air, Wi-Fi, mobile office. It's ridiculous. And like now, dude, I have a better rig. I just told you I came across that property. Like the brand is a healthier space. Like the podcast studio is now a vessel that we're going to use to cross-pollinate all that stuff. Tattooing has came into my life. It's my relevant 401k, you know, like we were talking about. And it's just like all because of that traumatic shit. So it's like to anybody out there that's having a fucking hard time, if you're listening to this right now, if today is your worst fucking day, you're doing okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like I've been so broke that I had to ration rice and ketchup to make it through and eat one meal a day. Like, dude, shit gets better. You just have to work through it.
It's healthy. I think it's healthy to deal with that.
Yeah, without that, you get that entitlement syndrome bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't have any
take
negativity in life.
Once a week, man. Don't eat 3 meals once a week. No, seriously. You know what I mean? Like when I come off that raw land, clearing the little bit I can, and I go back to the condo, I get in the shower with tile and hot water. I'm like, wow, this is killer. You know what I mean? Like I literally go on old school motorcycle runs and sleep on the fucking ground. You know what I mean? Just tarp over the bike, full easy rider in like what you would picture chopper. You know what I mean? And for days, and just wear the same clothes and eat out of the gas station and maybe take a dump. You know what I mean? Like wherever that's just uncomfortable. And dude, man, when you get back to the house, man, what an appreciation you have for things. And I think you just, as a person, dude, you're like fucking so much
You got to
better.
keep that balance. You can't just stay in the comfy sheets every night. Like,
dude,
like I go up in the mountains and I get almost every time I get fucked up. Like either I come back with blisters or I cut myself doing something stupid. Like one time I literally, this is the last story and then we got quit.
Yeah,
but,
my bad.
No, it's all good, man. We went backpacking and I was fucking around and I fell off of a tree that was hanging into the lake. Like it was a log leaning in the lake, but it was a whole tree that was down. I was fucking around, fell, landed, like this branch was hooked like this, like a J. Landed. I thought I ripped my sack open.
Oh, dude.
Like I was sitting there like my balls. And I got lucky, but it was like when I got back home, it was like you get to lay down, you get to like I literally thought that I was gonna have to hike down a mountain with one of my testicles hanging out. Because it's like, and like you go out and you put yourself in these difficult situations, and most of the times my stupid ass doing something stupid.
Not like
but and then you can appreciate what you have. It's like all the time. I went from having damn near nothing after I got out of the military to now like I live in a nice apartment. I have a nice vehicle.
Yeah, you got the building sitting that you're getting ready to do something with. Like that's cool.
Yeah, like,
man.
and it's not shit that like I appreciate every second of it because I know where the fuck I could be.
Yeah, dude, because of having those experiences, and that's what I was saying in relevancy to justify if you could tell your younger self, man, like
yeah, no, that's solid. That's solid. Like there's so much shit that I focused on.
Yeah, because you hear that it's gonna be.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and it gets monotonous. You're like, okay, bro, thanks for not caring and giving me the five nouns. Yeah, I mean? but it's really fucking true. It's that simple.
I mean, when you get older, you realize that shit. But talking to my younger self, I would have said like, yeah, whatever. This is the worst it's ever gonna get. No, it's not. It will always get worse, and then it will always get better. Like I probably even haven't hit my worst day of my life. Knock on wood. But I know that it's gonna get better. I'm gonna get through it.
Absolutely, man.
So all right, man. So where can people find you on social? What projects you working on? What's all the links and the tags that people can look for you?
Social, man. Instagram, just at Poorstar, man. That's like poverty. POORSTAR. Yeah, you know. And from there, man, you'll be able to see all our highlights, our stories. What goes on behind the scenes. And product development to delivery, man, which is pretty exciting because we're really wide open about that. Like I was saying with the Vans program, we're not doing anything anyone can't do. We're just doing it with our licensed work. So that's really what protects us in the tangibility, locker. So you can get us there. And then, of course the .com is nice, but really, man, the IG is where we focus a lot because that's just, I think, going to be the new .com. I really do. I think that's why they're allowing you to shop through the platform. I think that's why they're allowing you to highlight things in the platform. And I ultimately think that they're really going to do everything that they should have did with Facebook after it, just stormed MySpace. And hopefully, dude, whatever admins are up there watching everybody, doing 20 takes to get the right verbiage for their community. Keep it on the up and up, man. So I'm just going to keep it simple and, get at us on IG, dude. And I'm available, dude. Like DM me and like my dumb ass will DM you back. Trust me. It might take a couple days.
Yeah, that's why we're here today.
But like, yeah, exactly. So, you know what I mean? Like, don't underestimate the value. It's the DM is the new email. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? And
it's a more direct approach too. Like email, yeah. I delete so many emails all the time.
Oh God. Not only that, dude, like you said, it's just the dynamic is changing. And again, like I said, I really believe that IG is the new .com. So yeah, you can find us right there.
That. All right, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm stoked that we finally got to do this. And we're gonna wrap this up. And you and I will be talking more. I'll email you back, and I'll get you the audio and everything. We'll get it all edited up and ready to go.
Yeah, shoot me that, man, and then shoot me your DM, dude. I'll get you one of the bandana samples at least, man. I feel like I just gotta contribute something.
Oh, no worries, man. You don't have to. Like you already contributed a lot.
No, yeah, for sure. And then,
but we'll look at it this way. We'll just trade. I'll send you some hot sauce.
Perfect. Perfect.
But,
and I'll do my best, man, to build some marketing on my end too, man, and we'll set it up. I think that'll be really cool. You know what I mean? It's to work with a like mind, dude. Thank you so fucking much, and hopefully, dude, not for nothing, we can have you on our show.
I would love that. I'd love that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I want to know really what's up with you. Like I was going to ask you a couple questions, but I didn't want to interrupt it. Like
it's all good, man. We can. I would love to come on to you guys' show when you guys.
Yeah.
Whenever you want, just let me know.
I think once you see our platform, dude, you'll be pretty excited about it. I think it'll be pretty cool.
Hell yeah! All right, dude, man. We'll take it easy. I'll let you get back to your day.
Thank you so much, amigo, and dead serious. Please reach out anytime. I don't care if it's Christmas Eve, midnight, holler.
All right, same, man. All right, take it easy.
Take care. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Delaireous podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We got it all. You'll see daily updates and become part of the conversation. I greatly appreciate your support. And if you got any value from this episode at all, please share it with all your friends and family and tell them this is the greatest podcast you've ever heard, even if it's bullshit. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.